What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're continuing our look at the Transformers trading card game by having a little bit of a gander at Force Field. This is not hyperbolic, ladies and gentlemen. This is literally the best upgrade in the entire game as it stands at the moment. As I sit here on Halloween, happy Halloween, 2018, it is the best upgrade in the game. And I don't think it's particularly close. Now, I did do my list of top 5 upgrades. I'll let you know in the description. I'll pop a link to that one there. It is a phenomenally good card. What does it do? Well, it guarantees that you can only take 4 damage from an attack. Your opponent attacks you, you can only take 4 damage. Yes, I know Insecticon Scrapnel's got this, and it can only take 3. Whoop-de-doo. But this is an upgrade, which means you can have it on any character. And as a side note, Pierce doesn't go through this. So if you up your defense over and over and over, you can have a defense of 10, and your opponent can have an attack of 8, and you don't take any damage. But if they've got Pierce 6, they'll do 6 damage. For instance, Megatron Decepticon Leader, Pierce 3. And then if you take Megatron's specific upgrade card, Fusion Cannon of Megatron, Pierce 3, that gives Megatron Pierce 6, which means even though you've got a defense of 10 and they only had an attack of 8, they're still doing 6 damage because Pierce ignores your defense, essentially. But Force Field will bring it down to 4. Force Field is brilliant. And sometimes this is just really, really needed. Now, if we take Dinobots as an example, Dinobots is maybe the best way to just absolutely smash in terms of, just a deck in this game. So the highest general attack we see on a Dinobot is Dinobot Slug Hot-Headed Warrior, who has an attack of 6 in bot mode. Cool. Or Grimlock. Grimlock's also got a 6. And speaking of Grimlock, when you flip into alt mode, one of your Dinobots gets bold free until the end of the turn. Okay. And you can then go ahead and use Dino Chomp to give yourself bold 5. You're now up to bold 8. And then you can use Jaws of Steel to put yourself up to bold 10. And then Flamethrower to put yourself up to bold 12. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, 2/3 of those battle cards end up hitting an orange icon. That's 8 extra attack. Added to your 6 means you're going to have an attack of 14. The average defense in this game is 2. They are going to absolutely smash you. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where Force Field comes in. And as far as I'm concerned, right, I am now a big fan of any card that can use Force Field more easily. So we looked at Jetfire the other day. Jetfire's got a brilliant skill. When you flip it into bot mode, you can put an armor or utility from your scrap pile onto this character. That is absolutely great. It means you can just, as often as you like, well, just as long as you're able to flick into the appropriate mode, you can grab a Force Field from your scrap pile and put it on them. And then, of course, you've got cards like Rollout and Rapid Conversion, which will help you here to actually, just keep flipping and transforming and making sure that you can get it back as often as you like. The other one we've got is Hunkered Down. Now, it's only for tanks, but you can flip all of your tanks from bot mode to tank mode, and then if any of your tanks doesn't have an armor on them, you can grab an armor from the scrap pile and put it on them. So you use Force Field, and basically get Force Field on all of your tanks all of the time. And these cards become better in my eyes now, because Force Field, as far as I'm concerned, is essentially broken. Now, there are a couple of cards which will help you just get Force Field for any character, and it's a card we don't talk about very often on this channel, but it's Treasure Hunt. Scrap the top 4 cards of your deck, put all upgrade scrap this way into your hand. It's a way of just digging through your deck a little bit faster to try and find that Force Field. You draw your card for the turn. It's not a Force Field. Well, this means you can look at the next 4 cards, and essentially if one of them's a Force Field, you can grab it. But we also have the action card New Designs, which lets you just play an upgrade. which is pretty gosh darn good. And we have multi-tool, which is an upgrade here, which lets you play another upgrade just so long as you play multi-tool onto a specialist. Now, you could just play your force field anyway, but it's quite nice that you get to play multi-tool and then play an upgrade. I mean, if you really wanted to go meta, you could play multi-mission gear, which lets you play an action, and that could be new designs, which lets you play an upgrade, which could then be force field, but that does seem like kind of a waste. So we've talked about why force field is so good, and we've talked about how to actually cheekily get it, other than just drawing into it and attaching it. So we need to have a quick word now about how to actually get rid of it. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're not playing a card which gets rid of your opponent's force field, you run the risk of them just whacking a force field on and you being in a lot of trouble. And if they start combining this with healing, maybe they play an RC for instance, which heals 1 damage from each of your characters when you flip it into bot mode. And if they start playing stuff like Repair Bay, which repairs 1 damage from each of your characters, or Medic, which heals 2 damage from one of your characters, you're going to be in a lot of trouble here, because you could find yourself in a position where you just can't attack. Which, if anyone's wondering, right, that's a bad thing. I mean, you can attack, but you're never getting a KO here. Generally speaking, that's bad. And there's a couple of action cards that we can use here. The simple one is just Ramming Speed. Ramming Speed scraps an enemy upgrade, so what you do is you use Ramming Speed to get rid of a force field before you go about attacking. If you want to try and preempt it, you could even here go for Disruption, which scraps an upgrade from your opponent's hand after looking at it. Or even if you wanted to go full on, you could go for Security Checkpoint, whereby each player reveals their hand and scraps all upgrades from it. Do please make sure that you've used all your upgrades beforehand, otherwise you're going to end up scrapping some you might not want to. But there are other things you can do here. You can use Disarm, which returns all upgrades on a character to their owner's hand, which is pretty nice. And then there's actually a couple of characters that we can use here to get rid of your opponent's upgrades. We've got Inferno Fearless Firefighter. You flip it into alt mode, you get to return all upgrades on one character to your opponent's hand. And then of course you can combine that beautifully with Security Checkpoint, and as we've mentioned in other videos, you could then combine that with Decepticon Shockwave, which makes your opponent take a damage counter every time they scrap a card from their hand. Yeah, see where we're going with this? Gets kind of funny kind of quickly, which absolutely delights me. The other option we've got here is Megatron Decepticon Leader. When you flip it into alt mode, you may scrap a card from your hand and then scrap an enemy upgrade. Force Field is one of these cards that, as far as I'm concerned, is going to end up defining the metagame. And we don't really have a metagame at the moment. What we have is a bunch of local tournaments and a bunch of people that think they know what is good, myself included. But then, of course, it's not always certain. Until we start having big tournaments and a meta really evolves, we don't know what's good. But as far as I'm concerned, Force Field should be central to the metagame, because attacking is favoured over defence in this game. The average attack is 4, the average defence is 2. And it's much easier to be an aggressive attacking deck, and this is the best way to stop your opponent. So, play around with a card, and if you're not playing around with a card, even if you are, make sure you've got an answer to it. Because if you don't have an answer to it, things are probably going to get very, very awkward very, very quickly. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you know where we are at this stage, so let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Do you think this is a great card? Do you think it is as central to the metagame as I think it is? Or do you think I'm being just a little bit over the top? Let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me over on Twitter at the Wossy, where I talk about Transformers and other things. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.